So, Paige Bueckers is probably going to be the number one overall pick next year. And she is somebody with the ability to come in as a top 20 player in the WNBA. She has that ability. Look, I get it. She's had 2 major injuries, but there's a reason why she was seen as the best player in the country as a freshman. There was a reason why, even when Ryan Howard was still in college, when Aaliyah Boston was still in college, when Caitlin Clark was still in college, Paige Bueckers was seen as the best of them all. She does not have a single flaw in her game. And the scary thing is that there is a situation where she ends up going to the Champions Liberty. But before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're only 10 subscribers off 25,100. We could hit that by the end of the day. That's insane. But there is a legitimate possibility that she ends up with the New York Liberty. So if you guys are looking at this right here, you can see in the draft, Phoenix's pick goes to New York. And you might be saying, okay, they're 13 and 12. How are they supposed to, not be in, or how are they supposed to be in the lottery? Because if you're looking, there is the 17 and 7 Atlanta Dream, who are probably the closest team that will knock them out of the lottery. Especially, you're going to need Chicago, Indiana, and them to completely collapse. And I do think it's unlikely. Look, I think it's a long shot, but it's not impossible because one of the better players from the Phoenix Mercury, and look, the Phoenix Mercury are not a deep team, and that is the problem, is that outside of Cat Copper, and you better believe they are lucky they got Cat Copper in this offseason, outside of Cat Copper, they are not a team that is equipped, they're not a team that's equipped to win. They're a team that's 1 to 2 injuries away from imploding. So if you look at the Phoenix Mercury's team, you've got Taurasi. So like Beck Allen is already injured. She is a starter, averages 7.5 points a game. She is a starter. She's a good player. She's hurt. Natasha Cloud is a pass-first point guard. I know she's dropped 30 in a game, but she is a pass-first point guard. Copper is Cat Copper. Sophie Cunningham is a decent role player. But you've also got Brittany Griner, who, she's not playing in these Olympics pre-games. If she's injured, they don't even have anything that resembles a center. That's the problem. It's not even that they don't have a backup center. We saw at the start of the year. They don't even have anything that resembles a center if Brittany Griner gets hurt. Look, if Brittany Griner's healthy the rest of the season, of course they're fine. Diana Taurasi, again, Taurasi's been pretty decent. The problem with Diana Taurasi is that, again, she's 42. She's 42, played through the Olympics, is going to have to play huge minutes for Team USA. She's going to have to play big minutes because, look, she's a safe pair of hands. So, there's all of that stuff. And then we're looking at 2 players that if one of them gets hurt, they're going to really struggle. More so Griner. Because Becca Allen's injured. If Griner goes down, they could well go and do what the Atlanta Dream did. If you don't remember, at 6-6, or the Atlanta Dream were 6-5. They were 6-5. Let's not forget that. Since Ryan Howard went down injured, and that's really the only thing. And obviously Jordan Canada's injured, but Jordan Canada, it's not like she was. It's not like Jordan Canada was anything major as far as like a rotation piece for most of the year. She was injured at the start of the year and she was injured again. As great as she is. But the problem is that, again, Jordan Canada, or Ryan Howard was gone. And without one player, they go on this massive losing streak. If the Phoenix Mercury go on that losing streak, because if you look at the 2-year, the Phoenix Mercury have the least wins. They have the least wins over the 2-year period. So if somehow, there is a chance, I think the Atlanta Dream, especially had they won their last game, if they had won their last game, or even if the Mystics, who just lost in a close one to Phoenix, if the Mystics had won that game, then you would be seeing a situation where you'd be seeing 12 and 13, 7 and 18, and again, if they had won, I can't remember who the Dream lost to, but some they could have beaten. They're very lucky that both of those teams lost their last games. Because if they both won their last game, I would be talking about this very, very differently. But I think the Atlanta Dream, because they don't have their pick. The Chicago Sky effectively don't have their pick, but they also kind of do have their pick, if you get me. Because if they end up dropping back into this right here, they're going to get a top 4 pick, and I think you're getting a lot more from top 4 than you're looking probably at Golden State going in at 5. Or maybe even Golden State probably Golden State going in at 5. Him going down and pick to 6. You're probably not going to get who you want at 6. So I can see a no Marina Mabrey Sky dropping back in. I'm trying to think how many wins it's likely the Dream go in with. So the Dream have 16 games to go. I would say the Dream are probably going to go 500 through those last 16 games. I think the Atlanta Dream are probably going to end up on 14 or 15 wins. So 14 or 15 wins means the Phoenix Mercury have to go and win 3 more games, which is an almost certainty. But if the Dream get hot, the Dream could very easily, through their last 16 games, go 10-6. If they end up with 17 wins, saying that they don't go 4-11, it's possible. It's definitely possible. The Dallas Wings, I think they're a bit too far out. I think they're a little bit too far out. 6-19 is just not. They're just not winning enough games. Satu does not look in shape. So Satu coming back, she's not going to come back and suddenly be this unbelievable player, like a game changer for them. And Washington, unless Deladon comes back, they're not going to make it. So I think if you're Phoenix, not even if you're Phoenix, if you're the league, it's okay. Because Phoenix don't even have their own pick, so there's no incentive to go and tank. At the same time, though, it's not out around possibility. There is a 5% chance that Paige Bueckers, because if they end up in that bottom 4, they have the worst record over the 2 years. Just like if somehow Indiana end up in the bottom 4, Indiana are going to have the best chance at the first pick. But yeah, it is. Like, it's mostly dependent on one of these teams going on a Indiana type run where they just beat everybody. And I think Atlanta, who don't have their pick, are the most likely team to do that. But Paige Bueckers to the champions could be. And look, I don't see a situation where they don't win, by the way. I know a lot of people are just going to be like, oh, but like the aces. I don't see a situation where the winners of this championship is not the New York Liberty. They just look so much better than the Aces. So I think the Liberty are going to win. And if they can win and get Paige Bueckers, we might as well just cancel the WNBA season next year. Imagine if their biggest weakness this season, you could argue, has been in that point guard position, because Vandersloot's not the player she was. Could you imagine replacing Courtney Vandersloot with Paige and someone else on a max? Vandersloot's contract is gone. You can sign somebody on a max deal with her money, and you've got rookie deal Paige to add to Sabrina Ionescu, who is... She's still on her rookie deal? Sabrina Ionescu, Breanna Steward, who you're going to obviously sign to a max for 1 year. You just give them the 2025 championship. But again, let's just pray. We all need to be... It's horrible to see Becca Allen be out for the Olympics, but she's going to be out for the rest of the year. It's a grade 3 hamstring tear. And the scary thing is that, again, the Mercury are a Brittany Griner injury away from being the worst team in the WNBA. So we've seen it with Dallas. Like, we can't forget, for people saying it's not going to happen, like Dallas at the start of the year, Dallas were 4-3. Or sorry, were they 3-3? Was they 3-7? They must have been 3-2. They were 3-2. They have gone 3-17 since being 3-2. Again, 6-5. They are 1-12. The Atlanta Dream. In a league as top heavy as this, if Brittany Griner, who is injured, stays injured, with Becca Allen gone, someone who can fill in at that forward position, they have 4 good players and 3 of them play the same position. So anything can happen.